Hello, everybody, all at once. This is Theo Cedar Jones on July 8th, 2018, and I want to celebrate the grand unity. And it's finally come together for me, and I want to share it with you. And I've been working on a form of the grand unification of Earth civilization, and to be a co-creative midwife of the new civilization. And steps towards that have been the years-long webinar Open Conversation for Not To His Peace, which is the seed of Global Cooperative Forum, and the brokered diplomatic victory of visiting Santosha Tantra in December of last year and asking her to lead the firm, and her agreeing to lead it and, in a sense, acclaim its existence through her mandate. And now Adida and Santosha Tantra, in my heart at least, stand together in and as the firm. And so the firm is the senior cultural authority for everything else I'm about to describe. And because of that wonderful breakthrough with Santosha Tantra and Adida, I feel I can now bring together all of the main aspects of the grand unity, which is a social structure based on Not To His Peace, but now also on the writings of Santosha Tantra, including her poem, One True Tribe. And for me, One True Tribe is the overarching literary poetic expression of humanity's new civilization and the grand unity itself. So I'm going to rely on, I'm going to point to, and I'm going to affirm the firm and One True Tribe as the epitome and the basis and the pole star, the guiding light of all other organizational structures that I'm about to propose. So the grand unity for the new Earth civilization has to firstly account for the unifications of the great tribes. And so I have accounted for that in a revitalization of the sacred hoop as a rainbow hoop on a white background with 4 quadrants comprised of the black, the white, the red, and the yellow tribes. And those are the 4 great tribes of planet Earth that all would have this equal representation within a prior unity context. And so I use the sacred hoop as my emblem of One True Tribe. And the One True Tribe idea consolidates or incorporates all of the pre-existing great tribes that already had a historic organizational presence. So all the native and indigenous tribes of the Americas would be the red tribe. All of the Asian tribes are yellow. All of the Aryan and Nordic and Germanic and white European are the white tribes, and all the African and black African American and Caribbean and New World blacks are in the black. And they have long established historic precedent for their tribal identity and their political strength. So it's not so much a matter of establishing their tribal identity so much as it is of unifying them. So the sacred hoop, or the rainbow sacred hoop on prior unity white background, is the representation of that emergent unity of the 4 great tribes. So that's part 1 of the grand unity. The second part is to account for all the under-organized groups in history, which I started to do with the Germ. And the Germ is the Global Union of Rock Musicians, and that is something that was hatched under the firm, so the firm led to the germ, but there is still these other under-organized groups to deal with. So we need to organize the sex workers, we need to organize the youth, we need to organize the trippers, and we need to organize the rock bands, or to put it more bluntly, the under-organized groups are comprised of the youth, the rockers, the trippers, and the whores. So the youth, the rockers, the trippers, and the whores now gain representation and organization where it has never yet existed before. These under-organized groups have never had a global trust, a global union to protect their interests and to organize them for the sake of their interests in a cooperative manner and a nonviolent manner. So I am proposing new cooperative unions to organize and represent the heretofore under-organized groups. So who will represent the rock bands? The Germ, of course. So join the germ.weebly.com and you can get involved with the Germ. But what about the youth? Can you imagine a global cooperative union of all of the world's youth? The emancipated youth of the world, if you like? Well, that's called the Fury. The FURY, or the Free Union of Radical Youth. And so that is the cooperative union that is to represent the interests of all global youth. So you've got under the firm, the Germ, and now the Fury. But who is to represent the sex workers of the world, all of the whores of the world? Well, SWN, or SWAN, the Sex Workers Network, otherwise known as the Sacred Whore Network. So SWN represents the whores, the sex workers of the world. Fury represents the youth. Germ represents the rock musicians, the rock bands. But who is to care for the interests of the trippers, the people who take marijuana and psychedelic drugs? Who are the organizational strength of the trippers? Well, the TAO, the Tao, of course. Trippers as One. So Trippers as One will be the global cooperative union to protect the interests of all trippers. And then you have the basic outline of a representational and cooperative union organizational basis for protecting the interests and rights of the under-organized groups, the whores, the youth, the rockers, and the trippers. So that covers part 2 of the Grand Unity. Hello again. To continue on the Grand Unity story, what I'm affirming now is the sovereignty of the following: the sovereignty of all nations and constitutional republics in the world, the sovereignty of all the tribes, black, white, red, and yellow, sovereignty of all the under-organized groups, the rockers, whores, trippers, and youth, and the sovereignty of Earth Gaia herself. The sovereignty of Earth Gaia, the sovereignty of everybody all at once, or the totality, which of course gains its representation in the Global Cooperative Forum. The sovereignty of the one true tribe, which right now is really standing in and as the person of Santosha Tantra. And so what I put to you now is that real power in the new civilization will not reside in being on the left or on the right. And the whole dynamic, or the power dynamic of polarization between left and right, will have less and less meaning. And everybody will be unipolar in the sense everybody has an orientation towards their local interest. So that's a shared faculty of every human. They all must take responsibility for their local self-sustainability and their local arts and culture. So it is through the sovereignty of all of these elements, the sovereignty of nation states, the sovereignty of Earth Gaia, the sovereignty of the underorganized groups, the sovereignty of the tribes, and the sovereignty of everybody all at once, the totality, all these things together, under the firm and under the one true tribe concept, constitute the fundamental agency and organization of the new civilization. Within the Global Cooperative Forum, as per the Global Cooperative Forum Operational Guide, there are additional guilds, and those will be spelled out when we finish the operational guide. So you've got guilds or unions within the Global Cooperative Forum, and you also have representatives within the Global Cooperative Forum. But then, senior to the Global Cooperative Forum is the firm, the Free Union of Renunciate Messengers, which is providing the overlighting guidance and realization presence to all activities in the world. And so, with the dissolution of the artificial left-right polarity power dynamic, a new power is going to take its place and fill that power vacuum. And what that is now in the New Earth civilization is a combination of the following: the prior unity social contract, local culture and self-sustainability, and cooperative community. So those are the three essentials that every Earth human being must learn, adapt to, acculturate to, take responsibility for, which involves acculturating everybody to the book Not to His Peace, which is the primary way that people get to the orientation of having a prior unity affirmation, a prior unity social contract, cooperative community, and prior unity social contract, and local sustainability and arts and culture. These create a universality of what we all want to be a part of as human beings, and create the new power center. The new power center is consent-driven, not based on secret societies and fear and deception and coercion and murder and blackmail and dark spells and dark deities, and any of that is all being flushed out, and in its place is a very immediate, intimate, human-scale cooperative community basis of life, where everybody has direct access to each other and the people that make a difference in your life. You have access to the immediate reins of power in how local culture, local arts, local politics are managed through all the cooperative channels that are being put in place through these unions, these forums, and these guilds. So through unions, forums, and guilds, we create a parallel power system that's going to operate in tandem with the existing representative democracy and corporate and other military hierarchies in the world. But will gradually increase to replace the false systems of governance such as the United Nations and the Democratic Party in the United States. These fake and phony institutions would be dissolved, and true governance of the people by the people, based on the three pillars of the prior unity of social contract, intimate human scale cooperative community, and local sustainability and local arts and culture. Having the power to determine these three things places power in the hands of the people and the forms of governance and management of finance and energy and so on. How this will begin to play out and how it will look in terms of infrastructure is that every city in the world has to have brick and mortar items along the following lines. A Global Cooperative Forum Pavilion in every city, and that represents the prior unity social contract and acculturating people to not to is peace, and having a universal sacred domain that is non-sectarian and universally inclusive in every city. The sacred space, the sacred commons, is epitomized in the Global Cooperative Forum Pavilion, which we have a nice design for. That's the floor plan, and then you have the architectural schema. So that's part one. The second part is you have a 24/7 global youth culture, all ages rock club, cooperatively owned and a non-profit rock club, all ages for the people in every city of the world. So those are the two main infrastructure elements you would expect in this new civilization. Is you're going to have a Global Cooperative Forum Pavilion in every city, and you're going to have an all ages cooperative rock club, at least one, in every city. That's just the beginning. That's just the beginning of the grand rollout of infrastructure that I've indicated in the Bright Oakland videos. And I'm expecting Oakland to be the flagship global urban example of the brightening of cities. Let me repeat that: the brightening of cities around the world. And of course, the bright cities will play their part in the grand unity, whereby the sovereignty of nations, the sovereignty of tribes, the sovereignty of the underorganized groups, the sovereignty of Earth Gaia, and the sovereignty of everybody all at once are given full respect, protection, and institutional form in and through and via the Global Cooperative Forum and the Free Union of Renunciate Messengers. So that is my summary of the Grand Unity